Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today's question is, can I analyze the case of Rachel and Todd Winkler? Just a reminder, I'm not diagnosing anybody in this video, only speculating about what could be happening in a situation like this. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, subscribe to my channel, and consider supporting me on Patreon. I will put the link to Patreon in the description for this video. First, I'll look at the background of this case, move to the timeline of the crime, then offer my analysis. Rachel Winkler was born on January 31, 1975, and lived in the state of California. She earned a bachelor's degree in business and worked in the Napa Valley. In July 2005, she attended a dinner party and met a man named Todd Winkler. Todd had been born in 1967 and served in the Air Force starting in 1990. He was stationed in Florida, where he was an F-16 fighter pilot. Todd married but divorced not long after this. In 1991, he married for the second time. His wife was named Catherine. The Air Force sent Todd to Japan, where he served in the 14th Fighter Squadron, known as the Fighting Samurai. After being banned from flying due to carpal tunnel syndrome, Todd became frustrated. He was caught shoplifting from a store. When questioned by his commanding officer, Todd started screaming. He was sent to a mental health facility in Hawaii for a few months. After this, he spent a few months in another facility in Washington, D.C. Todd was honorably discharged, and he returned to Florida. In 1997, he moved to Georgia and started an internet business. On September 26, 1999, Todd and his wife Catherine were camping in the Chattahoochee National Forest in Georgia. At about 2:30 a.m., Todd encountered people who were camping and told them his wife was dead. The police were notified. They found Todd's pickup truck on fire at the base of a mountain. Catherine's severely burned body was behind the truck. Here is the story that Todd supplied to the police. He and his wife had been camping. Some type of insect bit him, which led to a severe allergic reaction. Catherine started driving him to the hospital as he rode in the bed of the pickup truck. Later, he changed his story and said he was riding in the passenger compartment. Catherine lost control of the truck and drove off a mountain. Todd was thrown out of the vehicle, but sustained only minor injuries. Catherine was not as fortunate. The truck burst into flames, and she was killed. The police repeatedly asked Todd to show them the insect bite that led to this whole disaster, but he told him he did not have time to show them. Officers noticed that even though it was 70 degrees outside, Todd was wearing winter clothing. Despite these suspicious circumstances surrounding Catherine's death, the police said it was an accident and the case was closed. Todd Winkler collected $1.2 million in life insurance. He moved to the San Francisco Bay Area, where he worked in pharmaceutical sales. As I mentioned, Todd and Rachel met in July 2005. The couple became romantically involved. Rachel indicated that she was extremely impressed that Todd earned a lot of money with his job. Todd and Rachel married just 3 weeks after meeting. They spent 13 months in Australia for Todd's job before moving back to California. They lived in an $860,000 house in Cameron Park, which is a special neighborhood designed for people who own aircraft. It has a small airport, and people can park their airplanes right in front of their houses. Rachel and Todd went on to have 3 children, Eva, Ariel, and Alex. Despite the outside appearance of having an ideal life, Rachel became unhappy with her marriage. She was torn about staying with Todd because of his financial success. She told people that she lived worse off than anyone she knew, but her husband made more money than most of the people she knew. In September 2009, Rachel took a job as an office manager in the Cameron Park Airport. When she was there, she met a man named James White. In June 2010, they started having an affair. It didn't take long for Todd to find out about the infidelity because Rachel's behavior was blatantly obvious. Now moving to the timeline of the crime. On February 27, 2012, sometime around 10:30 a.m., a neighbor of the Winklers called 911 and informed the operator that Todd Winkler had just called him and told him that Rachel was dead. When the police arrived, they encountered Todd Winkler on the front steps of his house. He informed them that his wife was dead in the house and directed the police to her location. The police entered the house and found Rachel dead from a stab wound to the right side of her neck. She had been killed with a pair of scissors. Todd Winkler was taken to the police station, where he agreed to be interviewed. Here's what he said. Todd knew that Rachel was having an affair, and he accepted that his wife did not want to be with him anymore. They were sleeping in separate bedrooms and preparing for divorce. Rachel indicated that she wanted full custody of the children, but Todd wasn't too happy about this. At 3:30 a.m., on the day Rachel died, Todd went into her bedroom and told her he was not okay with her having full custody. Rachel threatened Todd by suggesting that her boyfriend could get rid of him because her lover was a big gun collector. Angered by this threat, Todd hit Rachel on the side of her face with his fist. He apologized for the physical violence, but Rachel was not in a forgiving mood. She retrieved a pair of scissors and charged at him. The couple engaged in a protracted struggle over the scissors. Todd managed to get the scissors away from Rachel, but it was difficult. He indicated that she was an extremely strong girl and in much better shape than him. Todd dropped the scissors and ran into the garage, but then became concerned about his children. He returned to the bedroom where Rachel was, and she kicked him in the face. Todd went after her, and they struggled on the floor. Rachel picked up the scissors, but Todd managed to get control of them. He struck Rachel in the face and neck with the scissors. Rachel begged for her life and repeatedly told Todd they could resolve this. They would not get a divorce. She desperately wanted him to give her another chance. Todd felt as though if he gave Rachel another chance, she would attack him again, and he was exhausted. He pushed the scissors as hard as he could into her neck. Todd wanted her to die and viewed this as a kill or be killed situation. A half hour later, he tried to resuscitate Rachel, but she was clearly dead. Todd cleaned up the scene of the killing, brought his children to a neighbor's house, and then called another neighbor. This is when the police were notified. Todd Winkler was arrested and charged with first-degree murder. His trial started on September 23, 2014. On October 22, Todd Winkler was found guilty of first-degree murder. On December 8, he was sentenced to 26 years to life in prison. Now moving to my analysis. Here are my thoughts on a few areas that stood out to me in this case. Item number 1. Todd Winkler maintains his innocence, but there is really no question he was guilty of murdering his third wife, Rachel. Here are just a few examples of the evidence against him. Todd weighed 230 pounds. Rachel weighed 110 pounds, so she was no match for him in a physical fight. Todd did not call anyone for 6 hours after killing Rachel. He told the police he wanted her to die and that she begged for her life. And Todd only sustained minor injuries. In my opinion, Todd probably murdered his second wife, Catherine, as well, but he managed to get away with that crime. Catherine's death was extremely suspicious, but technically it could have occurred the way that Todd described. This is why the police never charged him. I think he murdered Catherine for the life insurance money, and he murdered Rachel because he was angry about having to pay alimony and child support. Item number 2. Todd Winkler had a long history of unusual behavior and mental health symptoms. When he was in the Air Force, he had an obsession with samurai, which may have been inspired by the nickname of the squadron where he served, the Fighting Samurai. His discharge from the Air Force was preceded by 2 extended visits to mental health facilities. In the months leading up to Rachel's killing, Todd was taken to a mental hospital after becoming angry at his employer. As the prosecutor was delivering the state's opening statement during the murder trial, Todd started screaming and slapping his head. Using a foreign accent, he said, quote, "You are not samurai. You do not speak the truth. You only want to destroy," unquote. A mental health clinician for the defense claimed that Todd was suffering from dissociation and had conversion disorder. Dissociation is when a person feels disconnected from their thoughts and feelings. Conversion disorder involves physical symptoms which are caused by mental processes. I would be very surprised if Todd actually had these conditions. it's more likely that he was simply trying to escape consequences. Item number 3, Rachel had many complaints about Todd before she was murdered. She indicated that he only cared about money, described him as a pathological liar, and believed he was creepy. She found the ashes of Todd's second wife, Catherine, stored in the garage, which only added to the creepiness. Rachel claimed that Todd told her he was interested in faking a motor vehicle collision to defraud an insurance company. Rachel had many reasons not to trust her husband. Item number 4, what do I think happened in this case? This is just a theory, my opinion. Todd Winkler was self-centered, Machiavellian, manipulative, deceptive, materialistic, impulsive, irresponsible, greedy, sensation-seeking, fearless, cynical, calculating, grandiose, cold, callous, unstable, erratic, had a sense of entitlement, and was exceedingly creepy. Rachel knew that Todd was dishonest, unpredictable, and that his second wife, Catherine, died under mysterious circumstances, yet she unwisely decided to live in the same house with him as she had an affair. She told people that Todd was desperate to keep the marriage together. He would cry and plead with her, but she was not interested in staying with him. She had performed the calculations and realized she could make a lot of money in alimony and child support. The financial security that she valued above all else could now be achieved without maintaining the marriage. Her husband had served his purpose, and now Rachel could move on. Unfortunately for Rachel, someone else had also calculated the alimony and child support payments. Todd Winkler. He felt like he was being thrown away and taken advantage of. Todd murdered Rachel with a pair of scissors because he was angry. He didn't really have a plan for escaping the consequences. A few hours after the murder, he came up with the idea of saying he killed Rachel in self-defense. He did not have a lot of good choices as far as explaining her death. I guess he could have said that Rachel epitomized the danger of running with scissors, but that excuse would not have been much better than the self-defense story. During his interview with the police, Todd made statements that did not help his situation. His lack of empathy left him unable to understand how people would perceive his story, like when he said he wanted his wife to die and she begged him not to kill her. I think he was telling the truth when he said those things, and he believed that weaving in bits of truth would make his narrative more believable. From Todd's point of view, he was offering a convincing narrative of self-defense. From the jury's point of view, he had confessed to murder. Those are my thoughts in the case of Rachel and Todd Winkler. Please put any opinions and thoughts in the comment section. They consistently generate an interesting dialogue. As always, I hope you found my analysis of this topic to be informative. Thanks for watching.